Hello, everyone. Welcome to our July meeting of the Fort Worth Astronomical Society. I'm Chris Monthy. I am your outgoing president. We have a new president for the next year, a new term. And well, without any further ado, here is Michelle Theisen, our new president.
For those of you wondering why we're
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our July meeting of the
Chris is doing an intro
Society.
on the
I'm Chris Monthy. I am your outgoing president. We have a new president for the next year, a new term. And well, without any further ado, here is Michelle Theisen, our new president.
Well, I guess that was a very quick introduction.
For those of you wondering why we're Hello, everyone. Welcome to our July meeting of the
Chris is doing an intro. All right, just a minute. Technical difficulties. Too many devices going with audio. Anyway, thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate your help getting this out on YouTube for those who want to just watch it streaming on YouTube. I would like to thank Chris and all of our outgoing executive officers and board members for the past couple of years. Chris has done a great job leading us for the last couple of years. And again, who better to take care of us during a virtual transition than someone who knows about all of this stuff. Pam is leaving as our secretary. So thank you, Pam Click, for all of your work over the last 2 or 3 years. And then outgoing board members are Phil Stage and Robin Pond. All of them are signed on to the Zoom account right now. So thank you very much for your service over the past years. And I want to thank ahead of time all of our incoming officers. Obviously, as Chris said, I'm your new president for the next year. Continuing as vice president is Ed Gill. Continuing as treasurer is John Geromini. Our new secretary will be Tila Foss. She popped up. She's been a member for just a few weeks, under a year. So on August 9th, her 1-year anniversary, she'll become our secretary. And then board members, we have Larry Barker, who is finishing the last year of his 2-year term. Jerry Gardner is coming in to fill the last year of the term that I vacated. And then 2 new board members are Tom Roth and Cy Simonson, starting their 2-year terms. Right now, I do have everybody muted just to avoid confusion. We'll have Dave Cox doing the presentation. When we get ready for the business meeting, I'll sort of unmute everybody, and that way we can interact a little bit. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do a Zoom, so that we could see faces and do a little bit of interaction with each other while we're here getting together. So we'll see how it works. Again, as usual, we go through our club history. We were founded, for those of you who are not aware, in 1949 by Charlie Mary Noble. It grew out of a junior astronomy club where the adults became so interested they wanted to form their own adult club. And we are one of the oldest amateur astronomy clubs formed in the country. Right now, we've got about 108, 110 paid memberships. We do invite the participation of everybody in the club, and we do have a wide range of experience, from beginners to those who are professional astronomers. And one of the things I've always considered a strength of our club is that we have so many varied interests. We have people who like to work with binoculars. We have people who simply like to look at the stars and not figure out all the constellations. We have all those wonderful people who give us those beautiful photography pictures. So we've got a good variety of interests for anybody who wants to join the club. We do have many members who are willing to help with anything you need help with, telescopes, helping us learn astrophotography, all of that. So anytime you need help, just put word out there, and there's probably going to be somebody who will go ahead and answer your question. Obviously, due to the current situation we have in our society, we are still not doing in-person star parties. I know that Chris, our former president, he has been working with virtual star parties. He would love to have a co-host help him when he does those. He would also be willing to teach you what you need to do to host your own virtual star party. And I've even seen instructions on the Night Sky Network on how to host a virtual sky party. So that's probably going to be the way we have to work for a while. One of the things about our club I want everybody to remember is that we are a nonprofit organization. So any donations that you make are available to be taken off at the end of the tax year. Okay, some of the reasons people join our club. Obviously, the dark sky sites. We have two. We currently have access to Thompson Indicator and Star Ranch in Ranger. One thing, if you're a new member signing on, please do not go to either of these sites without going first with a seasoned club member. This is especially important at Thompson because that is an area that we are guests of. They allow us to use their property, and we would like to keep it that way because it's a beautiful site. At Thompson Indicator, we do have electricity available. There are some concrete pads. You can set up your scopes, or if you prefer, you can set it up in the grass or on the gravel road. And there is a full restroom available. At Ranger at Star Ranch, again, a beautiful site, beautiful dark skies. Electricity at that site is provided by solar panels. There is a toilet available. It's a composting toilet that's been working great for the last year, maybe two now. But running water is not available out there. So you will want to make sure you take your own water. Excuse me. Some of the upcoming astronomical events, I know you've, all right. I know you've seen a lot of chatter about the comet Neowise. So we've got some beautiful pictures on that. We've got two meteor showers coming up. We've got the Delta Aquariids at the end of July, July the 28th and 29th. And then on August the 11th and the 12th, you've got the Perseid meteor shower. So those are two meteor showers that you're going to want to keep on your calendars. Now, we've got our presentation today is going to be with Dave Cox. And he's going to give us our presentation. Dave, I've got you set up to share your screen. Let me see if I can get you unmuted so people can actually hear you. Okay. All right, Dave, should be available now.
Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up. Okay, excellent, excellent. All right. Yeah, I was asked to give a little presentation today, so I figured I would just talk about my first year of astrophotography. Not so much a lesson in astrophotography, just kind of my adventures in the last year. So I've got a few slides. This will probably take maybe 30 minutes or so, and I'll open it up for questions if we're going to be doing that. But we've got the chat there, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and let's get this thing started. There we go. Yeah, this is my first year in astrophotography. So I want to introduce myself a little bit. Who is this guy? Yeah, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida originally. I'm not a native Texan. I've been around to lots of places, but yeah, we settled here after I lost my job in California, but home I call Jacksonville, Florida. That's my home. As a child, I was very inspired by Carl Sagan and his Cosmos series. Always interested in the stars. Never really got into astronomy very much, but I did enjoy looking at books and pictures and things of that nature. So that's kind of where I grew up. I was not the best school performer. Didn't get the best grades in high school, but I do have a funny story. I did win the 6th grade spelling bee because I knew how to spell one word that everybody else couldn't spell. And that word is hemorrhoid. Knocked everybody else out, but I got that one. I was the one dude who knew how to spell hemorrhoid. So anyway, a little bit of fun stuff. After high school, I joined the Navy. Yeah, a little Village People song. 1985, I went to Chicago for some school up there. Went to nuclear power school in Orlando, where I learned all the nuclear power stuff. Did some training in upstate New York, up north of Albany. And then I got stationed in San Diego on a submarine. That is my first submarine that I was stationed on. That is the USS Pogey. It is now Razor Blades. My second ship is the USS Chicago, which is still in service and has been in service since the mid 80s. So it's getting pretty old. So anyway, as far as my background is concerned, I'm very much an electronics type of person. I like to fidget with devices and things like that. And so astrophotography really appeals to me because there's a lot of that kind of stuff. While I was in the Navy, got to go to some really cool places. I have been to almost every state in the nation with the exception of a couple like Maine. I've been to Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Philippines, Guam, Australia, Europe, and a couple other places I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you because it's top secret. But if you ever want a good story about submarines during the Cold War, Blind Man's Bluff is a fantastic book about submarine espionage and the kind of missions that submarines like mine would go on. So anyway, as far as astronomy related places I've been, and a couple of you might find this interesting, I've been to Mauna Kea. When I was in the Navy, I was out in Hawaii for about 8 weeks going to a special soldering school. And we took one weekend and we flew over to the Big Island and rented a little car. And on Sunday, we drove up to the top of Mauna Kea, past all the signs that said, yeah, if you're not driving a 4-wheel drive truck, don't go past here. And we didn't care. We took our little Ford Mustang and all the way up to the top to 13,000 feet and stood among these behemoths. And if you've never tried to walk at 13,000 feet, it's extremely difficult. You spend a lot of time catching your breath. At this point in my life, I was not really into astronomy. I had an interest in science and I loved all the pictures, but I didn't really appreciate where I was. I couldn't tell you the Keck from any of the others, but I've been there and it was really, really pretty. I have I've got a mosaic of pictures, like a panorama of a lot of these things. Now that was back in 1992, so almost 30 years ago. So anyway, I've been to Mauna Kea. I have also been to Arecibo down in Puerto Rico. My family is from Puerto Rico. My mother is Puerto Rican. And so I've got family down there, and through some, we'll call it some family intervention, not only did I go to Arecibo, I got to go up there into the antennas, and I got to go down beneath. I have a picture of the antennas from beneath the bowl. It was a really interesting trip. The walk, however, coming back down this catwalk was absolutely harrowing. It was almost worse than riding up in a basket, especially when you're scared of heights. So anyway, that was a really interesting trip. So I have been to Arecibo, and that was a place that I really wanted to go. Even though I wasn't even really into astronomy, I knew what it was, and I knew it was the biggest radio telescope on Earth. And so I got to go there. I was pretty happy about that. So anyway, that's a little bit of my background. Right now I work out at the nuclear power plant in Glen Rose. I teach the operators. I am a twidget. I like to mess with things, and I like to have little devices to calibrate and stuff like that. So getting into astrophotography for me, this kind of started for me just last summer. It was summer of last year. Both of my kids are getting older. My son just went into the Air Force 2 years ago, so he was just about to leave for the Air Force at this point. and my daughter just graduated high school. So I had much more time on my hands. And so I ran across a YouTube video from Astro Backyard, that guy. And I learned that astrophotography was something I could do. I could take some of these cool pictures that I love so much. I could take them. I could do it from my backyard in the city. And that was a revelation. That was something that I didn't know was even possible. So at that point, it was fish on. I was hooked. I was like, all right, I'm going to go do this thing. This is going to be really cool. So the next thing you know, I found the Fort Worth Astronomical Society. I was Googling for something else, but I ran across the society on a Google search. And so I came to a meeting and I joined up. So that was just about a year ago now, is when I joined up. And so all I needed was a little bit of gear. So I had to put together my first little astrophotography setup. I had a camera and a tripod. And so actually the first time I went out to one of the dark sites, that's all I did was I just used my little Nikon kit camera from Costco and my Walmart tripod. And I took some pictures of the Milky Way, and I was just absolutely elated to do that. And then, but I did pick up some equipment. I picked up a little William Optic Zenith Star, a little 61 millimeter refractor, and this was the camera that I had. I figured I would just use that. I already had a camera, and then I got myself a little Skyguider Pro, just a single axis, just the right ascension axis, and you can just load everything up on there, and you can take some longer exposures. This is all that I knew how to do at this point. This was I had been doing this for like 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, I need to get some equipment. So I'm gonna sell a couple of things that I own. I'm gonna sell a couple of toys and buy some new toys. So that's what I did, and I ended up with this little thing. And I put this together. I didn't know anything about solid mounting or flexure or guiding. I didn't know anything about any of that. I had a little telescope with a camera at the end of it and a motor to drive the right ascension and a tripod. That's all that I knew. I didn't care. I was going out to get some sky pics. That's all I cared about. So I was super excited. This was my first little rig. And actually one of the first times I went out there, I met up with Fred out there at Thompson, and he had his Schmidt set up out there, and he had a connection for my camera. So he's like, hey, why don't you stick your camera on my telescope? I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I stuck my camera on his telescope and got this really grainy, nasty picture of M81 and M82. And so this is like really one of my first astro photos. It's not the prettiest thing on the planet, but I was super happy. I was happy because I had captured a picture of a galaxy. It wasn't the prettiest picture, but I was on my way. So this is one of my first images. And then there's the easy stuff that I could get, like the moon and Jupiter. They were right next to each other at the time. So I picked up one of those guys. And then because it was right about this time of year, later on in the night, I caught my first Andromeda picture. And this is it. It's very blue tinted and grainy and noisy, but I was very happy because, again, I had been doing this for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I captured a picture of the Andromeda galaxy. To me, it was astounding. I was very excited. And I kept on going. We're about in August now of last year. I've been doing this for about a month. Picked up a picture of the North American, the Pelican Nebula. Again, it's an extremely ugly picture. It's very red. It's very grainy, but I did it, and I was so super happy to be able to do this. I was just learning how to make the exposures and stack them together and get them into Photoshop. But it was extremely difficult to get anything that looked close to what I was aiming for. But I was just happy that I was getting something. And so it drove me to do more stuff. And so, you know, it wasn't long before, yep, I needed a better mount. So I traded in my Skyguider Pro for a little Skywatcher EQM35. This little thing here, it's got like a 22-pound weight limit. You know, at this point, I didn't know the difference between the meridian and the celestial equator, but I had a hand controller with 42,900 objects programmed into it. And that's all I needed. I was super happy with that. So, you know, I used that for a while. And I took that and went out to OKIE-TEX last year. I found OKIE-TEX just by Googling for dark sky locations. I was looking for places where the sky was dark, and I pulled up a map, and there was a marker way out there in the boonies, and I was like, what is that marker? And it's like OKIE-TEX. I was like, what is that? And hey, it's coming up next month. I said, okay, excellent. I am going to sign up for this thing, and I'm going to go. So I head off to OKIE-TEX. I'm just excited. I'm going camping. I've got no experience. I'm just happy to be going. I'm like super excited. So, you know, here's my car and my little pup tent that I took with me, and my little table and my little setup with my camera and my little Z61 and my EQM35. Meanwhile, you know, I'm parked next to guys with, you know, a Dobsonian that's so tall they need a 12-foot ladder to reach the eyepiece. It's just unbelievable, some of the equipment these people had there. And so I was like, you guys can just call me tiny, I guess, because I've got, you know, the smallest rig on the block. But it was fantastic. We had fantastic weather. The people there were great. I met a lot of good people, and we still keep in touch today. And we're looking forward to going this year if it goes off as planned. And so, you know, OKIE-TEX was fantastic. A lot of really good people there. I would recommend it for anyone who hasn't gone, even just to go for a couple of days, just to walk around and see what everybody else is doing, and to talk with other people in the community was fantastic. And so I spent seven nights there and got to shoot some images almost every night. So I did pick up some cool stuff. I got my first Orion Nebula picture. I got that at OKIE-TEX. Again, you know, not the best astrophoto in the world, but I'm getting better. You know, I'm learning this stuff. Picked up a picture of the Pleiades, and I was pretty excited to get some detail out of that one. And this was all at OKIE-TEX, and I also got the entire Cygnus loop, and it is very dim, and it is very not really pretty, but again, I was just happy to be getting anything. And you know, at this point, I was really not doing well on processing. I was still having to learn how to tease out all these faint details, but I just really enjoyed getting out and making the rig work and acquiring some photos and throwing them into the stacking program and seeing what I could get out of Photoshop. It wasn't much, but hey, it was enough to keep me rolling. So that was OKIE-TEX, and that was a whole lot of fun. I enjoyed that. So now that it was done, well, where was I going to go now? It was like Christmas morning. You know, you wait so long to open all your presents, and then Christmas is over. It's depressing. So what was I going to do now? Well, it's more new toys. That's what I needed. I needed some new toys. So down the rabbit hole he goes. Yeah, I needed a new Astro camera, a dedicated astronomy camera with some narrowband filters and some RGB filters and a filter wheel. And I need some stuff. Because I want to take some more pictures, and I want to take some more better pictures. So I started putting together a little bit better rig for doing some of the pictures that I wanted to do. So I had to get a camera. I picked up a new mount that I still have today. This is the Skywatcher EQ6. It's a fantastic mount for astrophotography. And I did pick up a new scope. Got myself a 127 millimeter Explorer Scientific refractor. It's fantastic. This is the cheapest of the 127 line. But yeah, so I picked up a new scope, and I picked up a couple little trinkets along the way. But now we're getting in towards January of this year, and I've got I'm kind of building up a new rig. I've got a little bit more confidence in acquiring the images. I'm starting to get all the routines down. I'm starting to figure out some processing, and I'm starting to turn out some pictures that I like. And so from January up until now has been really this long just sequence of acquiring pictures, learn a couple of lessons, post a picture, go out and acquire something, post a picture. What am I going to shoot tonight? And so I kind of have a little bit of the progression of some of my photos. This is from January of this year. This is the Horsehead and Flame Nebula. I think this one came out really good. And then in March, I had the Rosette. I pictured or I photographed this one with narrowband filters using that very setup with the with that camera and with the ASI 1600 and the narrowband filters that I got as a kit, along with the 127. And I was very happy with this one. I would actually like to go back and do some reprocessing on this, since I've learned some processing tricks, and see if I can make it a little better. But I was very happy with this one. This was March, end of March. And then it was Galaxy season. So I decided to pick up a couple of Galaxies. So I got the Croc's Eye Galaxy at the end of April. And then, right around that time, picked up the Leo triplet. That one came out really good. I was really happy with the detail that I got out of, these three Galaxies. And I think that some of this might have been in the PixInsight program, or it may have just been in Photoshop. I may not have been using PixInsight yet, but I was very happy with what I was getting here. I've got a lot of really good detail on the Leo triplet. I picked up the Whirlpool Galaxy, and I think I did this one. I might have done this from my front yard. That's my place where I do most of my imaging, is right in the front yard. I set up my skybox, and I just have my telescope out there, and I run it all night long. So I will shoot a target for multiple nights and just leave the scope out there. It's not going to rain. So I'm kind of fortunate that I can do that. But yeah, I picked up the Whirlpool Galaxy. Then it was M106. Picked up this guy. And then really back towards the nebulas, which is what I really enjoy. I enjoy the nebula pictures. And so I went over and I got the Eagle Nebula. And I think that one came out okay, although I'd like to go back and reprocess this one too. And this was just last month. This was June. And picked up the M13, the Globular Cluster in Hercules. Each time I'm taking one of these pictures, I'm learning something new. I got this one out at Star. This was the the Trifid. It's a Star Ranch, and this was all of 4 weeks ago that I picked this one up. This one I got from my driveway. This is Cygnus Wall. I've been wanting to get one of this. I've been waiting for this guy to come back up again in the horizon so that I could image it. And the piece of sky that I can get from my front yard is really between the north and the east. So if it's anything south, I can't get it because my house is in the way, and I can't use my backyard because it's surrounded by trees. So I have like one quadrant of the sky that I can image. So I had been waiting for this guy to come up because I've wanted to image the Cygnus Wall for months, ever since I found it. And I was like, that would be a really cool image. So I finally did that and spent, there's probably 23 hours, I think, on this guy, just having the scope pointed at it. It went out to, I think this was also out at Star. I picked up the Bubble Nebula. And this is less than a month ago. I did this guy. And then a couple of weeks ago, I put out the Omega Nebula. This was with a quad band filter and a color camera, and about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours of exposure. And I was just astounded by the amount of detail that I could actually get out of this. So, the processing had started to come along. I was starting to get really good at this thing. As far as I was concerned, I was really happy with myself. I've come from, taking blurry pictures of M81 and M82 to, pulling some detail out of the Omega Nebula. And then also a couple of weeks ago, I did this guy, the elephant trunk. I was really happy with how this turned out. I was trying to get some of this dark nebulosity to poke out from behind everything. And so I was just super excited with how this came out. But this was another long-term project. I think probably another 23 or 24 hours I spent on target. And then just today, I finished processing this guy, the Triangulum Galaxy. I took this picture this past weekend out at STAR. I did some images on the Lagoon Nebula, and then the second half of the night I did some Triangulum. So this one actually processed out really nice. It didn't transfer over to JPEG very well. That's another thing I'll need to learn. But it did turn out really good. I was pretty happy. And this is my rig as it stands right now. This is my 127 with this should look familiar. That's my guide scope. Was the original telescope that I bought is now my guide scope sitting on top of the big one. And that same EQ6 mount, and just has a bunch of little toys on it, right? I've got a little power box there. I've got a motorized focuser on it. I've got a rotator coming, but this is my rig for now, and it works actually really well. So I went from that little tiny thing that would fit in the living room to this guy, which has been working out really well for me. So, I've come a long way in a year, but I'm still learning, and I still make silly mistakes. And just as an example, this morning I was sitting there trying to process this Triangulum Galaxy photo, and my red channel looked fantastic, but the blue and the green channel just looked terrible. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I had all of my calibration images, I had mixed them up. And so it was a silly mistake. And I still make those, it's a lot of the little silly mistakes that I'll still make. Sometimes I'll forget to focus. This weekend, I forgot to set the telescope to go and point at the Triangulum Galaxy when it was done with the Lagoon Nebula. So I woke up and it wasn't even pointed there. I was like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be over there. So still make silly mistakes. And I am still trying to figure out PixInsight. That is a ridiculous program, but it does work really well. And so I either love it or I hate it. Sometimes I'm like, screw it. I'm going to turn it off and walk out. I can't do this anymore. It is so frustrating. And I'm still trying to figure out. So, what's next for me? I am going to OKIE-TEX again this year, provided it goes off. I'm looking forward to that. Don't really have any plans for new gear. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now. I've got a good rig that will take some good pics. And so, some recommendations from a guy who just went through the first year. If you're interested in getting into astrophotography at all, talk to us. There's just a lot of people that do this kind of thing and love to talk about it. Just ask some questions. You can check out the special interest group for astrophotography. We got lots of experience there, and these people love to help. We have our little meetings every month, and we talk about some pretty cool things. It's not a bad idea. There's a lot of resources that are here. You can just come out to the field with us and see what it's like setting up for a night of imaging. It can be interesting to see all the stuff that goes into it. But you can have good conversations with anybody who's out there about, how this stuff actually works. And start small. All you need is a tripod and a camera, and you can get some astro photos. They won't be, they're not going to be the elephant trunk nebula in, SHO palette, but you can get some cool stuff. I know Swarup does some really cool stuff with a camera and a tripod. You can get some good star trail stuff. You can get some good Milky Way shots and wide field things. And so if you're interested, there's no reason you can't start, and start small. You don't have to go spend a whole bunch of money. So I'd like to offer some thanks to the members of the group for all your support and encouragement. You know, I look forward to posting new pictures, and I appreciate all your comments when they get posted. That's it kind of drives me a bit. Thanks to all the members that I've spent time in the field with. I do learn by watching and doing. And Fred, if you're watching this, you still owe me dinner. All right. I had a slide for questions, but we can't really take any questions, and I don't have I suppose I could figure something out here. I actually took this picture a couple of weeks ago when the moon was full and I was out at Star. I took that picture. I thought it came out pretty good. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we are back with everybody there. There we go. Okay, so no questions yet from YouTube. Okay, excellent, excellent.
Thank you, Dave. I've also just set the settings on Zoom so that people can unmute themselves if they want to ask any questions. Is there anybody out there who wants to ask questions?
I'll ask a question. So this is the first time I've heard anything about astrophotography. I'm also fairly new to all of this. It sounds like it takes up to 24 to 48 hours to take pictures and then to process them. I had no idea it was so involved. Can you just elaborate a little more about it?
No, it really depends on what you want to do. There are multiple ways of shooting astrophotography, and it depends a lot on your target. If you have a very bright target like the Andromeda Galaxy, you can end up with a total of 30 or 40 minutes of exposure and come out with a really good picture of the Andromeda Galaxy because it's very bright. Usually the targets that will take 30 hours, 40 hours of exposure, it's because I'm shooting narrow band and I'm only letting a little bit of light through to the camera, and it's a very dim target to start with. And so it takes a lot of time. I'm doing 5-10 minute exposures, and I need to get 30 or 40 of those on 3 different filters, and that's just a lot of time. But if I just had a color camera, like when I first started and I had the little Zenith Star 61 in my Costco camera, that picture of the Andromeda Galaxy that I took, probably maybe an hour and a half of exposure time, just short exposures that you end up stacking together. So it depends on what you want to take pictures of. You can take pictures in fairly short order. It's just that some of the targets, when you want to take them in a certain way, it'll take a long time. So sometimes it'll take me several nights to acquire all the data. But in some cases, like that Triangulum Galaxy picture that I just showed tonight, I just got done processing it. That's all of 3 hours of data through my telescope, because it is a fairly bright target. So you don't always need 30 or 40 hours. And if you're just starting, there's plenty of targets out there that you can get in a much shorter time.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Dave, a question here. If I've got a telescope and a 35 millimeter, but I've got a manual equatorial mount, how much can I do with that?
What's the focal length on your telescope?
1000. It's a 102 Celestron refractor.
It's 1,000 millimeter refractor.
Yep.
Yeah, you're probably going to be pretty limited there. There's a certain rule, and I can't remember what it is. It's like the rule of 40 or something like that. It has to deal with your exposure length and basically how long you can keep your shutter open before you start to get star trails. And so if you're shooting very wide field, you can have your shutter open for 30 seconds before you notice any star trails. Whereas if you're shooting at 1,000 millimeters, the stars are basically shooting across your field of view. So anything you have any amount of time that you have the shutter open that's, you know, more than a half a second or a second is going to cause your stars to streak. And so that's where you have the need for a motorized mount, and you start to get into the need for guiding. And so, you know, starting at 1,000 millimeters, I would probably not recommend. I mean, the telescope that I have now, I'm with the focal reducer, I'm shooting at 666 millimeters. And so, you know, if you wanted to start with the camera, I would just say start with your kit lens, and get it on a tripod. And now's the perfect time because the Milky Way is up pretty much all night long. And it goes all the way across the sky. And there's so many different segments of the Milky Way. You shoot wide field, you can get several 15, 20, 30-second exposures and take those over and stack them together, and you can get some really good images like that. So, you know, having a manually driven mount with 1,000 millimeter scope and put a camera on it, that I would say it's probably not going to work out too well. It would probably be more frustrating than anything else.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Dave, I'd like to make a comment on that last question. Using 1,000 millimeter, the rule of 500s, you divide the focal length into 500. If it's camera, you use your APS-C, divide by 0.6. You divide 1,000 millimeter into 500. His time would be a half of a second before he gets star trailing.
Yeah, and in that time you're barely out of your camera noise.
That's right.
So you really wouldn't be able to get very much. Now you could get onto the moon, and that's a really good good comment there, John. And Kurt, you can get the moon because the moon takes a fraction of a second to take that kind of picture. So if you wanted to do a moon shot, absolutely, you could stick your camera on that telescope, and your exposure would probably be a quarter of a second, and you'll get a really good moonshot. And there's ways that you can take a bunch of those and stack them together and get a really good image. All right, next question. Okay, excellent. All right, well, I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. But I will let everybody get on with the business of the meeting.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave. It was a great presentation. We appreciate it very much.
Welcome.
Yeah, everybody clap. All right, we'll go ahead and go into the business portion. Again, I've got everybody on you can unmute yourself. So we'll stop periodically through this presentation and see if anybody has any questions or if one of the officers wants to make a comment, okay? We're gonna start with the treasurer's report. Currently, John reports that we have $13,360.21 in the checking account. Savings, we have $45,979.73, and that means our grand total that we have is $59,339.94. So we're getting pretty good. The major transactions listed are membership renewals, and then our astronomical league dues came through. Another item related are unpaid members. Beginning tomorrow, we're going to start removing unpaid members from the Groups IO and the Night Sky Network. So if you haven't paid your dues for this next year, please get in and do that. By the end of the month, if you haven't paid your dues, you're no longer going to have access to either of those sites. And we're also planning to change the codes to the dark sites. So there are some people, I think occasionally we've had changes in email that haven't been passed on. And so people haven't gotten the message. So if you know somebody who's not signed in, get that message to them. John, or if you're on here, do you want to make any comments?
No, I think that's about it. On we're at 99 paid people with the last 2 we had from the board meeting, and I haven't seen anything I've come across from the gentleman that you had sent me a message on yesterday, I guess.
Yes.
I haven't seen anything on that.
Okay. All right. Very good. One of the things that the board has agreed to do is to allow online memberships. And John has prepared some specific instructions for that on how to sign up through the Night Sky Network, because we still have to, you know, we can't just, as much as we'd love to have a ton of money coming in, we can't just let people sign in willy-nilly. And so there are specific instructions to sign in so that we have member information. They will still get the member handbook. They'll still have to, you know, do the hold harmless and still have to follow the same guidelines as far as accessing the dark sites. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's available when we give them the information to sign up. It is not yet, but coming soon, going to be available as maybe a link just through the website or through maybe through Facebook, but probably at least through the website. But this will allow us another avenue to start growing the membership during all these different strange times that we're living in right now. John, again, since you're sort of in that area, do you have any comments on that subject?
No, from the user's perspective, the only thing that's actually different is when we were in person, they would fill out the membership information sheet and give me the money. Now we ask them to go through Night Sky Network and request to join the club. They are then sent a link. People who paid their renewals, it's the same link. They're then sent the link and told to pay, and whenever I get the payment, then we send them the handbook, which instructs them on how to do the hold harmless online version, and also how to become accessible through the Groups.io site. Yeah, so they get fully involved at that point. So it's not really too much different from being in person, but it is, I think it's a couple of more steps on our end, but not so much on theirs.
Okay, very good. Thank you for taking the lead on that and getting that to a point where that's an option we'll be able to use.
Michelle, I got a quick question. I had 2 people call me this week, just trying to join the club as well. So, John, so we do have that set up where they can join online now or not?
Not from a one button click. But we can, if you have email addresses, I can send them the short write-up. It walks them through, it's like 4 steps to get through Night Sky Network, go through the search, pick our group, and then hit the register button.
Okay, I'll send those emails to you tonight.
Sure. In fact, if anybody gets a request from someone that's interested, if they would send me their information, then I can take care of it from there.
Yeah, one guy found us on Sky and Telescope, and he called me, and the other one was a person from a star party many years ago. Kept my card, so but they're both interested. So I'll pass it on to you. Thanks.
Oh, great.
Do you care to give out that email address if anybody can send you?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, you said anybody could send you information like that. Can I have the email address?
No.
Okay. I'm a member. I joined the club. Then the COVID hit. Been trying to get into this club for years. I have no phone numbers once again. No access to the dark sites. I heard nothing during the. It's nice to have this meeting, but what's next? How do I get into the club? Now my dues are coming up again. I'm thinking, well, I don't know.
If you could give me your last name, I'll look on Night Sky Network and see where you are. I don't know.
Never made it to Night Sky Network. Don't know how to do it. Didn't get any help. Didn't get any contacts. My name's Ed Gordon. I was at the last meeting or the one before that, and I talked to the couple people there. And I did get a couple of emails. Didn't follow up at that point, and now I'm lost again.
Okay. Well, if you can just hold on about 30 seconds, I'll check and see what if anything, we have from you. And if we have nothing, then I can walk you through later how to get in.
Thank you so much. Gordon is the last name. Gordon.
You actually are in Night Sky Network.
So what do I do now? Go to Night Sky Net? I don't know what that is. Well,
you just send me all your money, and then I send you a little card back.
Well, why'd you say so in the first place?
Well, it's not easy. I don't know how else to tell you.
All right, I'll try to dig up that old email.
If you would send it to me in the chat, what I have for an email address, are you saying that's not valid? ED1?
That is my email address is valid. Can you send me something so I can talk to somebody?
Yes, absolutely. I'll send you a message. I'll send you an email right now, and we'll see. You should have gotten 3 emails asking to renew.
Yeah, and juggling flaming balls, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Oops.io, Night Sky Network. I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ed, I sort of feel your pain on that. Emails that get lost somewhere along the line, because they do sometimes just get lost. So. And I know I recognize your name because you had some questions about 3RF also. So we'll get you taken care of.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay. Next topic is going to be outreach. Patrick, I know you're normally in charge of that. Right now we've got in-person star parties that continue to be held. And Tandy Hills this month, I guess, is canceled. So one of the ideas we're sort of tossing around is that when we do begin the star parties, we'd like to see if one or more of our astrophotographers who works off of the computer screen can help us out so that we can have a couple of people just a telescope, but still able to see what they can see on the computer screen. And then again, I also know Chris, as we spoke before, is doing virtual star parties and would be more than happy to have help or show you how to do it. Patrick, what have you got lined up? Anything?
As far as star parties, just pretty much on hold. I just got to do the cancellations on the calendar. And like you said, suggest maybe trying to hook my camera, thinking about hooking my camera up to the scope and running it through the laptop. Does anybody know a program I can use for that?
Most of the cameras come with some type of software that'll hook up to your laptop.
Okay.
Like on my my Canon, it has some software. So once I hook it up and I download the software, the Canon software on my laptop, it just shows actually what I'm showing in my camera. So.
Okay, I'll check that. You can download it from the website, right?
I think mine might have come with the camera, but yeah, it comes. I'm pretty sure I download for the website because it has upgrades and everything. So.
All right, I'll check that out because I might do that because I got the Canon Rebel and hook it up to my telescope, hook it up to a laptop, and see if I can get that to work. Might try that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as star parties, yeah, like I said, we're on hold. I mean, Dinosaur Valley, that's been canceled through September. We'll see where we are in October, but don't hold your breath right now on that. So we'll just see how it goes.
Unfortunately, that is where we are right now. And that's where we are with 3RF. We've gotten word out to you that we have gone ahead. I went ahead and contacted Katie with 3RF a week or two ago, and just to find out the situation there. They are taking reservations with the understanding that we don't know what things are going to be like. So we've got a reservation in September, the weekend of September the 11th through the 13th. It will very much depend on how things are going and what type of governmental regulations are in place. The counties where 3RF is located, the county they're in, I think had currently 0 positive cases or maybe 1 and no deaths. And Wilbarger County, which has, I think it's Vernon that we go through, they had maybe 13 cases through this whole thing. So they're low counts in that area. I don't know how their government officials feel about having other people come in from outside the counties. So that may also be what's going on in September. But anyway, right now we have a weekend booked. We're just pretending at the moment like, yes, we're going to go ahead and do it. Russell Boatwright is one of our members, and he volunteers at 3RF. He says that he and one of the other members, Tom, anyway, one of our other members. Okay, thank you. He and Russ were out there last week. You know, they've been working to complete concrete sidewalks. They've got grass that's sprouting. So those of you who were out there last year, that muddy field that we traipsed across, hopefully will be a little bit better, and we'll have some concrete walkways to walk on from the cabins out and about. For those of you who are new to the club, we normally once a year will go out to start 3RF. The club will pay for the bunkhouses, 1 men's, 1 women's. They're large enough that even in this day and age, we should be able to socially distance. We're going to have to adjust the way we do Saturday evening meal, because we still have a caterer, not the same caterer, but we do have a caterer who will do the Saturday evening meal for us. We'll just have to adjust the way we actually conduct that, because, you know, all of us in that nice, wonderful little classroom visiting is going to have to expand probably to an area outside where we have some tables set up where people can, you know, spread out a little bit and not be quite as close in an enclosed area. So we will get that figured out. The weekend is a great time to socialize with other club members. When weather's good, of course, you get some great observing in. The skies are wonderfully, beautifully dark. Last year, we got rained out. I think that Patrick may have had 30 minutes to an hour when the sun poked through the clouds, and he was able to use the solar telescope. But for nighttime viewing, we had clouds and rain, but we spent the weekend just having some good time socializing with the other people in the club. So it really was a good weekend anyway. So if you haven't already answered that email and that is an activity you would like to participate in, if it actually is allowed to happen, then just email me and let me know. Okay? Any questions on the 3RF weekend? Okay, no questions. Is George Lutch on here? I don't think I've seen him.
I haven't seen him.
For those of you who aren't aware, George normally takes care of our prime focus. He is he's the one that you can get articles to, and he puts together our monthly newsletter. He's usually on here. He says, Chris tells us that George is on YouTube. So if you have anything to talk to with him about, you can put it in on chat on YouTube, or you can email him information. Wanted to let everybody know that we do still have land and grants on our radar. I know that one of our members, Mark Smith, has volunteered to help George with the land search. Hopefully George has had a chance to get in touch with him. Spoke with him when we were out at Star Ranch a couple of weeks ago, and he's got a very good head on his shoulders. He's got long-term thinking, so he'll be a great addition to the land search and the grant search. And then Ed Gill is also working with us because he's suggested the possibility of we can purchase land or we can get grants and invest in observatories at these state parks. Palo Pinto long term after it's developed, but work with Dinosaur Valley and see if we can get something going in Dinosaur Valley where we could actually get an observatory on site that would be something that we own and control, but on the state parks land. That example has occurred in a couple of other areas. There are examples of where private clubs have built observatories on state park land. So that is a possibility we're looking at. Let's go first through the board to see if there's any other questions. 3RF, where is 3RF? 3RF is in West Texas. It's over near the Panhandle. It's about 3.5 to 4 hours west of here. And so that if you look at it on the map, it's like 2 counties just down below the border between Texas and Oklahoma, right near the Panhandle. Ed Gill, are you on? Don't see him. Okay, John, did you have anything else you wanted to share with us?
Yes, just one other short item. There is in looking through the Night Sky Network at a variety of different things, there's actually a minimum number of outreach programs we have to do on a per year basis in order to maintain our membership. So if somebody is going to do a virtual star party, be sure it gets registered in the Night Sky Network calendar, because we're going to need all those. Now, I haven't heard a thing from NSN people about any laxing on that, but just a heads up on that.
I have a question about the last topic.
Which topic?
The 3RF or whatever it is, the big party.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you give me a location without if you don't want to give out the address, just close enough so I can see where we are on the map?
It is in Crowell. It is in Crowell, Texas, and I think Chris just put something out that says it's like about halfway between DFW and Amarillo.
You can actually Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Three Rivers Foundation.
Okay, try that.
There's a link in the chat too.
Yeah.
There's a link in what?
And there's a chat feature on Zoom. If you open up the chat, there's a link, www.3rf.org.
Thank you.
Okay. John, did you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Tila, are you on here?
I am.
I thought so. I thought you were TTF. Did you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make?
About what?
Did you have any questions or comments that you'd want to make to the group in general?
No, none at this time.
Okay. If you saw Tila real quick, that's going to be our new secretary.
Well, yeah, there is a possibility that I may be moving.
Yes.
I'm standby. Yeah.
You can travel back for the meetings.
Oh, you could travel back for the meetings. How's that? Did you say you possibly are getting a job in California?
Yeah, it's a temporary job assignment, but yeah.
Okay, we'll see how that works. Board members, Larry, are you on Zoom? Okay. What about Jerry Gardner? I haven't seen you. Are you on? Okay.
Larry signed off.
Cy Simonson, I know you're there. Do you have any comments or any questions?
No, just one thing. I'm still trying to get a hold of Michael Langer. I know he used to be real active in the club. He hasn't responded to emails, but John just gave me his phone number. I'll call him tonight.
Okay.
See what his problem is, or if he's still interested. So I'll try and solve that tonight.
Okay, good. Yeah, he has been around for a while. Thank you. Okay, Tom, do you have any questions, any comments?
Nope.
Crowell, Texas, not Crowell. I heard that whisper. All right. Remember, everybody is on unmute if you want to. Does anybody else have any questions, any subjects that you want to talk about?
I have one.
Yes.
That's Phil. On these new memberships and renewals that need ID cards, I'm probably gonna need an address so that I can send them the membership cards rather than me sending to John and John sending them to the new members.
Okay.
And that I didn't make the board member meeting the other night because I couldn't find the link for it. But
okay.
To keep me in the loop on the new members, and also let's see, did we get a new Prime Focus out since the elections?
Since when?
Since the elections.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll wait until the Prime Focus comes out, and then I'll make out new ID cards for each one of the board members.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
There's a July issue out.
Okay.
But I don't think it included the board meeting.
Yeah, I didn't think it did.
Do you just need a list of the new members still?
Yeah, the new members, and also I'll also take the board members.
Okay.
Need new ID cards. You know, I do president, vice president, all that fun stuff.
We can get that information to you.
Okay, fine.
Phil, can I talk to you after a while?
Why, sure.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else? Any questions for the board?
Bill just
Any other questions?
Mr. Ed, were you asking a question?
Nope.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Of course, you know that every time I see that, I'm going to think about Wilbur.
Yeah, never heard that before.
Really?
Well, if that's all that if nobody has any other questions, we'll just go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Okay?
So where is that place? I'm looking at Crowell. Looks like a little town. How could it be dark sky? Well, how many miles from Crowell is this drive to the party?
It's directly west.
How far?
About 15 miles.
Okay, so now we know if we need anything in town where we're. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
Hey, this was great, man. I can't say enough about it. Fantastic. Thank everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, Michelle?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we had our presentation from David.
Yes.
I'm sorry I came in late. I've got stuff going on. So it's been recorded. I think Chris is on. It's been recorded to the YouTube.
It's on YouTube, and then I've also got a recording through Zoom.
All right. Well, I just want to thank David for doing the presentation. Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy. And all right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
John, did you want to talk on Zoom?